The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy New Year. Welcome to She Is Shenomenal. I am your host, Tasha Champion, the Shenomenal coach of Champion Empowerment. Always teaching you to love the champion you are. And you guys, we are in 2023. This is so crazy. Like, who would have known when the world shut down in 2020 that we would already be seeing 3 years ago? Like, it just seemed like that was forever. And here we are. And I would just really love to know how you guys are going to make the best of this year, because every year ahead of you is a year that you get to make your own, take control of your year, create the year that you desire for yourself, step out on faith, squash fears by taking massive, imperfect action. Just enjoy, like, embrace love, embrace joy, embrace happiness, embrace mistakes, embrace faults, embrace your flaws. Like, take this year and just run with it. It is yours for the taking, and everything you want and desire is available to you in 2023. Now, most of you know, and my friends that are watching, they're gonna go, here she go. But January is what I call Tasha-wary, because this is like my own personalized month. But I have to take a moment to shout out my Tasha-wary babies, because I'm surrounded by just really amazing people in Tasha-wary that have birthdays this month. So I hope I get everybody. If I don't, I am sorry. I still love you, and I still love that you are a part of this special month. So happy birthday to my trees, to Crystal, Shanice, Dante, Akila, Kiana, my guest today, my Shika. Who else? There's quite a few, but that's who I can think of right now. So I'm just going, oh, Kiana, the other two Kianas. So that's who I can think of right now. And the most important person, happy birthday to Pyro Media's executive producer, Kwame Corbett. His birthday's tomorrow. So I am shouting him out. He is just an incredible man, master of media, and my little big brother. And I just love him dearly. Hey, Shanice, happy birthday, babe. Now, this year, we're what is it, 18th? We're 18 days into the new year. And I got to tell y'all, like, it has been just really fantastic. It's been phenomenal already. Like, this year has really just taken off. I was gifted a ticket to go see Esther Abraham Hicks last weekend. And I mean, just really opened up the door to more manifesting in my life, to manifest bigger, bolder, better things. Not yesterday, Monday, I was honored with by the DVL project. DVL is Dreamers, Visionaries, and Leaders, created by the phenomenal woman herself, Regina Weatherspoon Bell. And in the high desert community of Southern California, DVL honors Black and Hispanic people that are doing big things in the community and really making a mark in their own American history. And on Monday, I had the honor of standing on that stage and being recognized for the work that I do in the community with cancer patients, as well as just with women in general, empowering them to take control and live their best life, helping them heal. It's a passion of mine, but it's always amazing to be recognized and honored for the things that you just simply love to do from your heart, and to be there. And I know other people, matter of fact, the guest that I'm interviewing today, I met her in 2018 when she was being honored for the same award. And I've met other people in the community, and by far they say it's one of the most near and dear honors that they have received. So I am just super honored and proud to join the ranks of that, and just truly, truly grateful. um, I think that's probably all that I got to catch up with y'all on for the beginning. Like I said, we're only 18 days in, but we are going to just really magnify this year. I plan to bring you guys people that are going to pour into you, share their stories of triumph or overcoming obstacles, sharing their business. So if you are a woman and you have a business, you have a story that you want to share and tell and inspire people by, this is the place where you want to do it. So please go to Shenomenal.com and make sure you send me an email so that I can have you on She Is Shenomenal. And I do interview the occasional Henomenal man, so you guys are not left out by any means. All right. Before today, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, I have the honor of interviewing Miss Myshika Ross. She is going to tell her story of just overcoming obstacles from being incarcerated at the age of 13 to being a struggling single mom, and then launching Lighthouse Restoration, where she helps others struggling single moms excel at life. She is also a life coach, just helping people realize the passions within them. You guys know I am surrounded by phenomenal women, and Myshika is definitely one of them. So stay tuned, stick right here, and we'll be back with Myshika as she tells her story. I'll see you in a minute. All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. I want to introduce my guest today, Miss Myshika Ross, founder of Lighthouse Restoration. Hi, Miss Myshika.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so crazy to come back full circle, because me being honored on Monday for DVL, and I met you at the DVL honoring ceremony when you were taking center stage. And so it's just amazing to come full circle and get to know you over these last few years. We always talk about doing some things together,
Yes.
And then life happens, COVID happened, but we're going to make our way back. But introduce yourself, tell people about you before we dive into your story and how you got where you are today.
Oh my goodness. Where do I begin? Is first of all, I want to say it's crazy that we're circling back around from when we met in 2018 and here we are today. So I'm honored and I'm thankful for that. But for the most part, my Sheikah, I am an overcomer. I am a mover and a shaker. I am a single mom or was a single mom. I get the job done. I am just, there's so many things that I'm proud of. And I would have to say, being a mom comes first. Raising my 3 children and now my 2 grandchildren, Jabrea and Raina, and just being a community leader and the work that I have done in the community and the growth that I have made personally in my life. I cannot wait to share my story with you all, but it's just so many things and so many parts of me that I bring to the table. Yes, my organization, yes, my podcast and speaking and all of that, but just who I am. I'm a go-getter, and I have risen, from the many challenges in my life and continue to go forward. I am a fighter, I am a soldier. And I have to say that I learned that aspect from my mom who passed away October the 17th of this year. And I seen her go through some major struggles in her life and she rose through it all. And I learned that from her. Yeah, I learned that from her. And yeah, thank you again for allowing me to be on your show, inviting me. And I hope that whoever is listening to my story is inspired and uplifted and encouraged. And if at any point in your life that you have fell down, honey, get up, dust yourself off and keep going because you are capable, you are worthy, you are enough, and you can do it. And that's what I had to tell myself. So
Dropping the mic already. Yes, I absolutely love it. Now, before we get into like the meat of it, I want you to tell everybody why you decided to use your story on a platform because we all have our reasons when we go through things and we decide to share our story. It's for various reasons. But
right.
before we start talking about what you've gone through, what made you wake up one day and decide, you know what, this is a story that I want to share with other people?
I would have to start off first with the organization. And in 2003, it was for me going through a divorce. And Tasha, I was just writing and venting. You ever do, you're going through something and you do the ugly cry and all of that. And you're like, you're writing it down and you're thinking about how you can help the world and help others. But I didn't see it at that time for myself. I was just venting. And in 2011, that's when my light came on when I was sitting in a college class and my professor, she told the classroom, you can pass all the tests and do all the homework, but if you do not put a business plan together, you will not pass this class. And I remember I had written down all of these things. And from the things that I had written down, I created a business plan and I'm reading through all this stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness, where did that come from? What state of mind was I in when I wrote all this stuff? That's when I realized, like, wow, this is powerful. I can help someone else. I can help another mom. I can help another single mom because I'm not going to be I'm not going to be I'm not going to be the last single mom that goes through any of this.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? How can I help? How can I help another woman? And that's where it stemmed from. That's where it sparked from. Because as a mom, you're raising your children, whether it be 1, 2, 3, or however many children you have, is like a community in itself in your home.
Right.
And I said, you know what? How can I use this? And that's what sparked it for me because I said, I'm not going to be the first nor the last single divorced woman. So how can I turn this around for the positive? And that's what sparked the Lighthouse, the Restoration Organization.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So now we're going to jump all the way back. For some reason, I wanted to start with that so that people can really understand as you tell your story, like, damn, but she still came out on top. She still did
Yeah.
this as you tell your story. So I want you to go back to when life changed, because I know in your bio, you say that you ended up incarcerated at 13 for
Yes.
3 years.
Yes.
Before that, what was changing that led up to that and then go into the incarceration?
Okay. So when you're saying changing as far as my adulthood or my childhood?
Your childhood, what was changing in your life that would lead you to be incarcerated at 13?
Got it. I have to say, I knew something, I knew something was special about me when I was in fifth grade during recess, talking to everybody or the students in my class about God and saying, hey, you know what? Doing motivational speaking in fifth grade and not knowing it. I knew something was special then. And during that time in my life, just like Tasha said, at 13 years old, we lived in Nickerson Gardens. We lived in the projects. I was living with my mom at the time, would go and visit my father on the weekends. And there was an incident that took place, a domestic violence incident that took place with my sister and myself. And my sister was being beaten by her husband, and she was 8 months pregnant. And I tried to assist, and I'm like, hey, can you please stop fighting my sister? And he began to fight me. And I ran in the kitchen, I got a knife, and I stabbed him in the leg. And from that leg wound, he passed away from that.
Wow.
And it was a lot to go through. And I'm sorry that it happened. It is a part of my life. I have accepted it. It's a part of my journey. And I try to speak to other youth, and I do speak to other youth about it. And if I can change it, I would. I would go back and do something different because I'm very remorseful about that. But there is nothing that I can do about that. And back and forth to court. At the time, my sister said that he wasn't doing anything to her, so she didn't know why I did it. And so it flipped things around from like self-defense to now second-degree murder. So that was a charge that I was facing at 13 years old that landed me incarcerated for 3 years. I went to Los Padrinos Juvenile Hall, Central Juvenile Hall. I spent some time in Youth Authority in Ventura. And my last stop was Dorothy Kirby Placement Center, where I spent the remaining of my time at 3 years. So from 13 to 16, I was incarcerated. And I told myself, Tasha, I am not a victim. I am a victor, and I am an overcomer. And I will use this for the good. I will use this to encourage, uplift somebody else, because I have had to explain it, share it throughout the years applying for jobs. And you may know, or others may know, that when you have a felony on your background, it's hard to, obtain employment. And it's so many different obstacles and challenges that you come up against. And I absolutely refuse to sit down on myself. Yes, it is a part of my story. It's a part of my journey. I cannot change it, but what I will do, I will go forward, and I am an overcomer, and I will be an example and set an example for the people that have had challenges in their lives, to let them know if I can rise from it and go forward and create the life that I want to live for myself and to take care of my children when they were younger, that's what I will do. I will share my story to uplift, encourage, and say, hey, dust yourself off, because God has a purpose for your life. I will not be able to talk to you today because I feel like God has been so big in my life, so big. I didn't always realize it at the very beginning, but there is no way, Tasha, that I could be in the right headspace as I am now and have grown so far and spoken to other people without the grace of God on my life. I will tell anybody that. That's how I feel in my heart. I don't try to impose what I believe on anybody, but that's what I believe that brought me through. And that's why I'm still standing. God said he will give me beauty for my ashes, and he has done just that. And he has turned it around for my good. And I will continue to share that. I will continue to go forward in that.
You know, I just want to pause for a moment because most adults, you know, have a hard time dealing with any type of incarceration, but to have to go through that at 13 and then to have the very person that you were protecting then turn against you. This is not just like something that happened and it's like, okay, I'll dust off and I'll just go. But like, as I'm listening to you, when you came out of that at 16, was there a period where there was guilt or regret or shame, or like what was that key moment where you're like, you know what, I gotta keep going forward? Because I hear you saying it now, you know, of course, and it's been so many years, and so you work towards that. But just putting yourself back into that 16-year-old self for a second, what was that like, saying enough is enough, I gotta change this, or I need to do this? Like, how did you keep yourself going in that time?
I would have to say, because you mentioned how did I feel? Of course you feel shameful. You don't want to share it. You don't want to talk about it because people are going to put a magnifying glass on you and just pick you away, pick at you. And I have to say that I remember some of the things that my father used to mention, and he would encourage me and uplift me. And my grandmother was very supportive in my life. She would also encourage me. And I also have to mention, during my time of incarceration, I ran across this some good staff members that spoke into my life. The probation officer that I had, Mr. Shabazz, he used to tell me about this quote, and he told all of us. He said, "If you fail to plan, you plan to fail." And he used to say that so much, it would get on my nerves. But when I became an adult, I got it. And I had some great people during that time to cross my path and to help me along the way. And my grandmother, she used to always tell me, "My Shika, whatever you do, each day show up and do your best. Show up and be your best." And so the things that they poured into me, that was really helpful for me. And another thing that my father used to tell me, he used to tell me, "My Shika, ain't nobody gonna knock on the door and give you nothing. If you want something, you go out there and get it." And that stayed with me. And I still carry it with me to this day. And I have to say, those are the things that got me through, reflecting on those things. And when I got down to pull from those things, and the people that were around me pouring into me, and that really helped me. It helped me get through a lot of things, because that was a lot to go through, and it was very traumatizing at 13 years old to go through that, because there's so many things going through your head. And I'm at school and just kind of by myself, and just trying to get back in the swing of things. So it was a lot, Tasha, to deal with at that age. It was a lot to deal with. And at that time, my dad also seeked professional like counseling for me, so that I can vent and talk about some of the things that was on my mind. And that was really helpful. And I am so thankful that during that time, my father knew what to do. And that made a huge difference. He knew to get me an attorney. He knew to seek counseling for me so that I can speak about some of the things in a safe place. He knew what to do for me, because I, of course, at that age as a child, didn't know what to do. He and my stepmom, they played a huge part in that particular time in my life.
Right. Now, I want everybody out there to know, yes, I've known my Shika since 2018. Yes, I know some of her story, but I'm hearing this also for, the first time. And just, Maishika, I want you to know that you're so powerful in the way that you are explaining your story, but the overcoming of it, like you're just dropping mics all over the place right now. And what I'm loving is the passion of like, yes, this is what I did. Yes, I've experienced this, but that has nothing to do with today. Like my life had an opportunity for change and growth, and I took that opportunity and I had supporters. So I really love your passion behind what you've been through and then deciding to use these stories to help other people. Now, fast forward a little bit, because I know as close as you were with your father, you then experienced losing him not long after all of this happened. So take us through that for a moment. And what did that do for you? Did you feel like you might fold or fall, or did you have enough of the words that he gave you to keep you uplifted?
You know, Tasha, when my father passed away, and it was just after it was 1 year later after I was released. So to have his support through all of that and then have him pass away, it was very devastating for me. And one of the thoughts that went through my mind, and you know, when we go through things, we wonder, like, wow, was it because of this or was it because of that? And I remember when my father passed away, the thought that crossed my mind, I said, wow, did I lose my father early because I was the cause of somebody else losing their father early? And that crossed my mind, and I carried that for a long time. And I got to a place in my life as an adult, and I said, you know what? I have to let this go, because I prayed and I asked God to forgive me for that. And by no means did I want that to be the outcome. I was just trying to help myself and my sister, not knowing that that was going to be the outcome. And that was, that was during a time where I really had to just sit with myself, and I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself and say, my Shika, you have to forgive yourself. No condemnation. God forgave you. You prayed about it. You asked for forgiveness. You have to let it go. Whatever other people have to say about it is their business. It doesn't have anything to do with me. But I had to find my peace in it, Tasha. I had to set myself free, because I had held myself captive for so long because of it. And I had to set myself free in order to have happiness with my life, because it is my life and this is what it is. I can't change it. I can't go back to it. I can't rewind. So what do? You embrace it and say, this is all of me, and I stand tall, and I am an overcomer, and I can do this. I am enough. I am worthy, and I don't owe anybody anything.
Right. I love that.
Stand in that. I had
Yes.
to stand in that with my whole heart and say, you know what, my Shika, I forgive you. I forgive you. You continue to get up and go forward and dust yourself off. I had to go back. Every time it came up, I had to forgive myself again. When it came back up again, I had to forgive myself again.
Right. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because so many people, there's this belief that, oh, I forgave, or I forgave this person, I forgave myself. And I'm sure you had to go through a forgiveness with your sister as well. But sometimes people don't understand that when you're triggered by something, the memory of it, when it comes up again, then sometimes there's a whole nother process. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that each time it was another level. And really what it's doing is it gives you the opportunity to say, there's another piece of me that I get to heal right now. There's another piece of me that I get to forgive so I can keep going forward. And eventually it just all comes together and you're just like, okay, I'm releasing it and it's good and I'm done. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, because that was a very powerful testimony that you just gave, especially in the getting through it, the support, what you had to tell yourself, encouraging yourself, being encouraged by others, hanging on to the love and the words that other people gave you. Like, that was so incredibly powerful. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, my Shika, I want to talk about you getting into your marriage and becoming a mom, what was that like? How did the divorce, I don't want to say break you, but what did it do to you that you were just like, there's something, while this is leaving me, there's something else being birthed in me, and that's lighthouse restoration. So think about that for a second. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back and continue our conversation with Myshika Ross. All right, welcome back. If you are just joining us, I am talking with Myshika Ross, founder of Lighthouse Restoration, and I can't even begin to even go back to the first half of this. If you missed it, you just gonna have to wait to the end and then go back and watch it, because you really need to see Myshika's passion and what she's gone through and how she's been able to overcome such an incredible battle at the age of 13, and how she stands today just proud and encouraged with her heart on her sleeve, loving on so many other people, is really, really inspiring, because what could have emotionally, mentally, physically took her out, she fought to be where she is today, which makes her so incredibly phenomenal. So Myshika, welcome back. Let's talk about going into your marriage, having your babies, and then what was that key thing of like, this marriage is over, this is something that is leaving me, but at the same time you are also preparing to, whether you know it or not, you're going through these experiences preparing to birth something incredible. But talk about that for a moment.
Okay, I was married. We were together for 10 years and married for 5 of the 10 years, and we had two beautiful children. My oldest son is from another relationship, but he took my oldest son in and accepted him as his own. And that time went by, and a lot of things transpired, at that time. I don't care to go into all those particulars,
Okay.
but when it happened, I have to say, of course, when you're married, you expect for it and want it to last forever. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and it is what it is. And we're better friends now than we were before. It's crazy. You hear that all the time. People say, oh my goodness, we're divorced. We're better now than we were married. So, it's crazy. But that took some time of, getting to, and we made our focus point our children. We said, hey, you know what? We're going to make sure that we don't bring the children into this. And that's what we did. The focus point was our children. And I remember going back and experiencing a divorce. And I remember, Tasha, at that time, I was like, oh my God, what's my name? Who am I? Because at that time, that's when I realized that I lost Myshika.
Yes.
I can't tell you where I left her at. I don't know.
But we get lost in our titles, that I talk about that all the time. We really do get lost in our titles, and we lose who we are. We forget our name, we forget we exist because we're so focused on being wife, mom, daughter, all these other things,
Yeah.
which, beautiful titles, don't get me wrong, but you're right, we do lose ourselves.
Yes. And I did. And I was like, oh my goodness, when did that happen? You know? And that broke me down because I was so busy taking care of the honey, the house, and the kids. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing it, taking care of the honey, the house, and the kids. And I didn't see anything wrong with that at the time. But when the divorce happened, I was like, oh my goodness, there's everything wrong with that. I never included myself. I kept saying, I'll go back and get me. I'll go back and do this. I'll go back and do that. And I did not realize that I had forgot about myself until the divorce happened. And I felt worthless. I felt like I didn't have anything to offer my children. And I remember during that divorce, we were in the middle of buying a house. We lost everything, had to start over from scratch. And I remember the people that we were buying the house from, they allowed me and my children to live there rent free for 3 months. So I was able to secure another place. And I was devastated. I remember my kids were lashing out at school. They were acting up. And while they were acting up at school, Tasha, I was at work crying in the bathroom, coming out, getting myself together. It was a lot. It was a lot emotionally.
During this time, what was your age range during this time?
I want to say late 20s.
Okay. And the reason why I ask that is because sometimes women were so hard on ourselves. I mean, just keep in mind, most of us are not raised to love ourselves, to put ourselves first. It's said in words, but there's no action behind that. So we're not taught that. And the reason why I wanted to include your age is because I want women to understand, any woman out there, like, you're not by yourself. If you are just now 30, 40s, and your 50s, and you're just now discovering who you are, that is okay. That is okay. Self kudos for saying, like, okay, I get to learn who I am right now. So that's why that was important. As you were going through single parenthood, what were some of like the rock bottom struggles where you were just like, am I going to come back from this?
I would have to say I didn't even know if I was going to make it through it, because I remember dropping my kids off at school. And I said, this is the day that I'm going to end my life, because I didn't know what to do. I felt like I could not put one foot in front of the other. And people say, oh, well, you just get up and do it. It's not that easy. I felt like I was in a hole. I felt like I couldn't get out of the well. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, how do I go forward? My world is falling around, literally in back of me, in front of me, all around me. How do you come up from that? And during that day, and this was some time back, but I remember my phone rang, my house phone rang. And back then, the operator would normally come on and say, this party is no longer answering, try to call again. That particular day, that particular day, Tasha, it didn't do that. My phone rang about 15, 20 times. And I finally picked it up. And when I picked it up, my mom said, my Sheikah, don't do it. Your kids need you. Literally. That's what she told me. And I just broke down and I told her, I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. And that was a point where I said, you know what? I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it out of there. And she talked to me, she encouraged me. And just like I shared, the owners of the house allowed me to stay there 3 months rent free. My mom at the time lived in Los Angeles, and she paid all of my utilities from Los Angeles. And it was right around the corner. Tax time hit. I was able to secure me and my children an apartment, and we were able to move forward. And it took us roughly about 2.5 years to get in an emotional space where I wasn't breaking down and crying at work. My kids, weren't acting out in school anymore. It was a lot, but just like I said, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it out of that emotionally, because didn't have my foundation up underneath my feet, just kept breaking and falling, and it was a lot.
That's what I want to get to, because here it is. You've gone through all of this as a teenager. You've gone through this marriage. You've gone through this divorce. You've gone through this single parenthood where you feel like you are breaking down and you're just about ready to end your life. Maishika, what was the turnaround like? Like, you were explaining a little bit of it, but I guess I want to get deeper into what was the work that you did on Maishika to bring yourself to where you are.
At the time, I lived here in Las Vegas, and I decided to move back to California, and I moved to Victorville, California, because when I was dealing with the divorce, I was working and everything, but I was handling the divorce in the wrong way. I would go and hang out with friends and drink and all of that. And I thought that I had to drink in order to feel happy, because I was dealing with the divorce in the wrong way by using the alcohol to suppress. And of
Right.
course, what do? You just wake up with a headache and a hangover, the spinning room, and nothing is resolved. And I remember I had a dream. I kid you not. I had a dream that I was being judged by God. And in the dream, I was trying to repent. And when I tell you that dream seemed so real, I remember after having that dream, I told everybody that I knew, and I stopped hanging out and partying. And I knew right then, to me, I felt like it was a message. Maishika, get yourself together.
It was absolutely a message. The dream was absolutely real. This is the moment where God is like, okay, I need to get a hold of her deeper. And if it's going to be
Yes.
through a dream, it's going to be
Yes.
through a dream. So I believe wholeheartedly, it's not that it felt real. It's like, no, that was a whole real ass dream that you had
Yes.
to save your life.
Yes. And that was a wake up for me. And I said, you know what? It's time for me to move. I need to move. I didn't want to, I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I didn't want to go back to LA, but I was like, you know what? I just want to get closer to my family after the divorce, after going through this. And at the time, my sister lived in the high desert. So I moved. I moved to the high desert. I moved to Victorville. And I tell anybody that I believe that move to California, to Victorville, I feel like it saved my life. I was able to get back on track. I got enrolled into community college, Victor Valley there. I got back in church, and it was me, my kids, God, and church. And I was able to, at that time, and around this time, I was 33 years old, and I faced me. I faced the decisions that I had been making. I faced my part in my divorce, because it wasn't just all him. I just faced it all. And
Right.
I stood in my stuff, and I held myself accountable, because at that point in time, Tasha, I was sick and tired of me. I was sick and tired. And sometimes you got to get sick and tired of yourself to do something about it. And I said, this is where I draw the line, and this is where I do something different. And just like I mentioned, I was about 33 years old. And during that time, it was for 9.5 months. It was me, my children, God, and church. I didn't date. I just cut it off. I just said, I need some time to reflect and get myself together. That was the turning point for me. And that's where everything started coming together for the Lighthouse of Restoration organization. I had to do something different, and I had to hold myself accountable. I had to stop pointing the fingers, like at the divorce, and he did this and he did that. But Maishika, what did you do? Are you holding yourself accountable? So I had to stand in it.
I'm going to pause you for a second, because I think a lot of times people don't realize how important it is to hold yourself accountable, to acknowledge the part that you played in the misery or the brokenness that you might feel right now is so incredibly important. And your healing, you will really, truly advance your healing when you own your crap. When you own what you've done, when you own where you've been, when you own how you feel. And I'm not saying that it's all your fault. What I'm saying is, if you can own it and hold yourself accountable, you will really advance your healing, because you can unveil the mask that you've been wearing and just be who you are and acknowledge, this is me.
Yes.
Period. This
Yes.
is me.
Yes.
Me.
And
So
during that,
then, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
during that time, I just wanted to share, Tasha, that was the time where I was able to find me. And that was where the healing began, when I began to love myself. And during that time that I stepped away from dating, and when the 9.5 months was over, I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't die because I didn't have a man. Oh my goodness, like how you, girl, I was in the space like, oh, that space. That space.
So many women need to hear that right now. I know a few women that need to hear that.
It's fine.
I didn't die because I didn't have a man. It's about learning who you are when you
Yes.
don't know who you are. Yes.
Yes. And let me just be clear. I wasn't saying, oh, I don't need a man, I'm in it. No, I said that I was at a point in my life where I loved myself. I was comfortable with being alone. And when it was time for me to date, I was ready, but I didn't need to rush into anything. And that's where I learned to do that at. And I was happy, and I was loving myself, and like, okay, girl, I see you, girl, and that was beautiful to me at 33. At 33.
So now we're going to take this all the way back to the beginning of the episode, where I said, well, how did you create this nonprofit organization? So let's dive a little bit deeper into, number one, the name Lighthouse Restoration. What was in your spirit where you were like, this is the name? And then tell us about Lighthouse Restoration. What do you do? What does it offer? How are you helping? Like, just talk about that.
The Lighthouse of Restoration, the name came about because I feel like we are all lighthouses. We have been there for someone, or a family, a friend, a neighbor, a coworker. We're all lighthouses in some form, no matter how you look at it, whether we listened to somebody, gave somebody a ride, gave somebody some money, helped with a child, any of that. Any of those things, we are all a lighthouse in some form, in some way. In restoration, because I feel and I truly believe that God restored my life, and he restored the time. And that's where restoration come from, because I believe that he restored the time of my youth. He restored the time in the relationship with my mom. He just restored me all the way around. And I am thankful for that. And that's how the Lighthouse came about, the name. That's how the name came about. And as far as the Lighthouse goes, it's been operating for 11 years, helping single moms. And what that entails is any donations that we receive, that I receive on behalf of the organization: diapers, wipes, personal hygienes, bus passes, gift cards, because we receive gift cards for kids to get shoes and food. And those are the items that we help families with and help moms with. And aside of that, I help them create a goals plan, a 1 year, whether they want to do a 1 year, a 5 year, 3 year plan, to say, hey, you need to know, where are you leading yourself? Where are you leading your kids? You need to know this. It is very important. It's very important. And I do that because I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have goals set to what I wanted, and the things that I wanted to do. And that's so important. So that's another thing that I assist them with. Any other resource that outside of that I do not assist them with, or we don't offer, I put them in contact with an agency that does, to make sure, hey, are you looking for this or looking for that? So that they don't just leave out and not have the tools that they need. And if I don't know it at that particular time, I'll say, hey, let me follow up with you. Let me get that information for you, because I know what it's like to call a number and say, oh, well, we don't do that. Oh, you can hang up. Oh, well, we don't do that either. Instead of just taking the time and say, hey, you know what? Can you hold for one moment? Let me get that information for you. And save them the 10 calls, So, the organization, I tell anybody, it's been a two-way street, because not only am I helping a family, they have also came in, and Tasha, they have said things that uplifted me and encouraged me, and they didn't even know that maybe I was feeling down or discouraged at that time about whatever in my life. And it's a two-way street. And I've been on both ends of the spectrum. And a lot of times, some of the single moms, they're just in a rough patch at that particular time. You help them that one time and they're good. There was a time in my life when I was a single mom. I had 2 jobs and I was going to school. I had 1 job and was going to school. And I've had a job. I've had 1 job and paid all the bills, and there was $20 left. What do you do with that?
Right.
So I know the challenge of that. There were times as a single mom where I would feed my children and there was nothing left for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my oldest son saying, "Mama, what are you going to eat?" And I'll be fine. I'll find something. There was nothing to eat.
That's the mom in us. Yes.
Yes. Like, what do? You keep pressing. And I know that, those are some of the struggles that single moms, face. And it is challenging. And I'm not saying by any means, no, woe is me. No, not that at all. It is challenging. Yes, you keep going. It is challenging. But you know what? You can do it.
You can do it. Exactly. And if this episode hasn't taught anybody anything, it for damn sure taught you that you really can keep going. And, I it's so hard to come to the end of the show when the conversation is just so good. So, of course, I will definitely have to have you back. But before we go, there's a couple of things that I want to ask you. So the first one is, what would you say to your 13-year-old self?
Oh my goodness. I would tell her, "Girl, you are amazing. You are an overcomer. You are enough. You will get through this and you will shine. Believe in who you are and keep moving forward, because you may not be able to see it with the naked eye, but girl, you are going to shine. I see you, and keep going. And every time you fall, you dust yourself off and you keep going, because you got this and you're going to be all right." That's what I would tell her.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I know it's a lot of people that needed that message for their own 13-year-old self or for where they are right now. And my last question before we get into how people can connect with you is, who has been a Shenomenal woman in your life and why?
Oh my goodness. So many people few people pop up in my mind. First, I have to say my mom is number one, because even though my mom had challenges with drugs, I always seen my mom lose everything a few times and get up and rise through it. And before she passed away, she was over 20 plus years clean. Yeah. And I watched her and I saw her. My mom also introduced me to God. Even though during that time my mom was on drugs, my mom prayed faithfully. I didn't know all of the ins and outs, but my mom demonstrated that God was important through it all. So I pulled that and I said, okay, she's praying every day. This is important. She has a connection with God. And I pulled that. So I have to say that her for number one. Number two, I have to say my grandmother, because during the times that my mom was not able to be there during going through addiction, my grandmother played a very important part in my life. And I was ever so grateful for that. She always said, "My Sheikah, whatever you do, you keep getting up and you do your best. Keep getting up and you do your best." And she never threw me under the bus. She just continued to love me unconditionally. And I appreciate that. And over the years, there has been women that cross my path and sow seeds, drop little nuggets, in my ear.
Right.
Hey, this, hey, do that, hey, try this. And I'm thankful for that, because I feel like it's all been a part of the process of who I am today. And I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. So now tell people how they can connect with you. Tell us the title of your book, the title of your podcast. Like, let's have a 60-second My Sheikah moment. Let this be all about you, Hunty.
Okay. So my podcast is called Lost: Living All Struggles and Treasures. So you can find that at onelost.libsyn.com. That's the podcast. And for my speaking engagements, you can reach me at myshikaross.com. And for the organization, you can go to the lighthouseofrestoration.org. But again, you can also reach me at myshikaross.com. My phone number is listed there. My email is listed there. And I'm thankful for the work that I have done over the years. I've received countless awards for community work, and I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep believing. I'm gonna keep praising God and keep asking him to show me the way and keep moving forward, encouraging, motivating women and other people on the stages and the platforms that I have. And I'm thankful for this opportunity. Thank you for everybody that has been listening and showed up today, because you know what? We got this.
We got this. Mashika, really quick, because you're getting ready to get another award, I think, in Sacramento.
Yes.
Give us a little quick snippet before we go, because I want to make sure that we shout this out. I want to make sure, I know you've had countless awards, but I want to make sure we talk about that, because in everything that we talked about today, everything that we've been through, is moments like this that say, yep, I did all of that. So what award are you getting ready to have North to get?
Okay, before I mention that, also, I want to mention you can order my book on the Barnes & Noble's website. It's called 25 Years to Life by Myshika Ross. And the award that I'm going to be receiving in Sacramento, I have been working with the Department of Probation in Los Angeles. I did a documentary with them. I've also been in the Los Angeles Sentinel newspaper, which is a Black-owned newspaper that has been around for years. That is, right. I'm so thankful for that. So I am receiving an award from the Los Angeles Probation Department in Sacramento. So I'm excited about that, and that is due to the work that I have done, over the years with myself, and the work that I have done speaking in the juvenile halls, giving back. I had the honor of speaking at the very juvenile halls that I was detained in at 13. So I am very thankful for this award, and this is huge for me. It really means a lot to me. So thank you, Tasha, for mentioning that. And I'm excited about it.
I am so excited for you. So excited for you. I just, thank you for your transparency. Thank you for your light. And then thank you for really letting other women shine in your presence so that they can feel the depth of their own light. It has been such an incredible episode, learning about you and just chatting with you. You're such a beautiful, incredible, Shenomenal woman. And thank you for being on. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow Myshika, learn more about her story, listen to her podcast, and we will be back next week. Thanks for joining She Is Shenomenal. I will see you guys next Wednesday.